Right. So the Americans have said that they will build a sort of pier in order for them to deliver aid to Gaza, via maritime routes, so with ships. Now, there's a vessel that's just left Cyprus, and is going to supposedly land in Gaza in a few days, although no one knows where. And I just want to highlight and explain to you the absurdity of this idea, because look, when you have the option of delivering aid to people in Gaza, literally by just opening the crossing and allowing the trucks in, because the trucks are there. You have hundreds of trucks that are ready to go into Gaza, but the Israelis won't let them, right? The Israelis won't let the trucks go in. And in the off chance where they do let them go in, they slow it down to such a pace that those trucks that do make it in daren't suffice. So, they want to build something that looks like this. This is just an example. But it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. You could just simply allow the trucks to go in. No, can't have it. So what is happening right now? They are starving the Palestinians in Gaza to death and also bombing them at the same time. Once again, the figures as of today, March 14th, you have 31,000 Palestinians killed. 13,000 of them are children. And what they're trying to do is push Palestinians all the way down south into Rafah. And now they've succeeded in that objective, because 1.7 million out of the 2.3 million are displaced. And the majority of those displaced Palestinians in Gaza, guess where they ended up? They're in Rafah. They're on the border with Egypt. And so the real agenda here, what is the real agenda? Yes, of course, kill the Palestinians and take their land. But if you can also push them into Egypt, which is another thing they tried with this voluntary migration rubbish, that's also an option, right? How benevolent. Look how generous the Israelis are. Instead of killing you, they'll just kick you out of your house and send you to a foreign country. That's not so bad, is it? So you guys remember the videos I made about the gas. You remember? These went ridiculously viral. And, I'm glad they did, because I wanted people to understand I wanted to impress upon them the importance of this scheme. Because Israel and the United States have been planning this for decades. Remember, why did October 7th happen? It happened because Netanyahu went to the UN. Many people don't understand this. They think, it's because, Gaza is under siege. And yes, that's one reason. It's not the main reason. It's because of this. Look at Netanyahu when he goes to the United Nations. Just about 2 weeks before...
Any idea
before October 7th, okay?
What's really happening in Gaza and why it is happening? A few weeks ago, right before this war in Gaza ignites, Netanyahu...
You see that? No Palestine. It doesn't say Palestine. You know how the Israelis always accuse the Palestinians of wanting to wipe Israel off the map? This guy is literally holding up a map with Palestine wiped off, okay? And he then goes on to draw the plan. What is it? Build an economic corridor, okay? Goes from UAE to Saudi Arabia to Jordan to Israel and then to the EU. And of course, the idea here is twofold. On the one hand, they want to create a rival to the Silk Road that China is creating with all these partners, right? The Belt and Road Initiative. This is a rival to that. But on the other hand, they also want to get the gas that Gaza possesses. Remember, there's something called the Leviathan, which is a gas field. It's a basin, rather, in the Mediterranean Sea. And where in the Mediterranean Sea? It's on the Levantine coast. So that means it's off the coast of Syria, right? Today, Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, same thing. So, of course, the Israelis have worked very hard to make sure that no one else can touch this gas, because they want to steal it, just like they steal, like they have already stolen parts of Palestine and parts of Syria and parts of Lebanon. Why not steal the gas as well in the sea, right? So there's enormous potential, in this basin. And to make sure no one else can touch it, The Israelis went and they bombarded and made sure none of the ports work, right? The Beirut port mysteriously exploded. No one knows why, but let's blame Hezbollah as usual. Then the Latakia port in Syria bombed, doesn't work because of the war and the sanctions on top of that, which Israel is a part of. And then the only port that's left now is Haifa. Oh, and Gaza, but who's occupying Gaza? The Israelis. So same thing. But it doesn't work. You can't take over the gas when you have Hamas and you have people living in Gaza. They'll resist, right? Which is normal. So now we begin the project of ethnic cleansing. We try to push the Palestinians out like a tube of toothpaste into Egypt, all over the world. Doesn't matter. Kill them. Doesn't matter. Just get the territory. So now the Americans are coming in thinking they're very smart. Oh yeah, they're going to deliver aid by sea. Really? Well, why not just make the Israelis let the trucks in? The trucks are already there. No. We'll deliver it by sea, right? Which takes, a couple of days. And of course, there's a famine already and there's not even anywhere near enough to feed people for one day, never mind sustain them. This is all a cover. This is a cover. This is laying the ground. Okay, it's basically preparing the takeover of Gaza and its gas basin and the preparation for this trade route as well. You have to understand there are so many things happening right now that no one is talking about, that no one knows. This is one, the pier, which everyone thinks is just about aid. Let me give you another. Last month, the Israeli foreign minister, Katz, goes to the EU, right? He goes to meet with the foreign ministers of the EU. And he sits down with them, and you know what he does? Instead of talking about a peace deal with Hamas, which is the whole point of the meeting, he sits down and he shows them a video. He sits down and he shows them a video of an island that he wants to build. Guess where? In Gaza. Yes, an island in Gaza. I mean, it's truly fascinating. And here, this is what it looks like. There's a whole promotional video for it. Yeah.
The Artificial Island Initiative is aimed at providing an answer to a reality that is bad for the Palestinians and not good for Israel. Today, Israel continues to be perceived as being responsible for the Gaza Strip and is, to a large extent, the only lifeline to it, even though it withdrew from the Strip over a decade ago. Construction of an artificial island with a port and civilian infrastructure installations off the coast of Gaza will provide the Palestinians a humanitarian, economic, and transportation gateway to the world.
So you get the idea, yeah? You get the idea. They think they're very smart. Mind you, this is not a new project. He came up with this, I think, when is it? Back in 2015. Yeah, something like that. I think it's 2011. Then he came up with a new version of it in 2015, 2016, and now he's still trying to push this. Oh, and guess what? He shows the EU foreign ministers another video of a railway from where to where? From India to the occupied Palestine, to Israel. Again, remember, India is the one that would be hosting this lovely trade route, right? So it goes from India, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel. So what he wants the land route and a maritime route. What does that sound like? That sounds like the Silk Road, obviously. So you see all these pieces of the puzzle that are coming together. It's nothing to do with Hamas. It's never been about Hamas. They want the trade route. They want the gas. And so, it's so funny because by the time he was finished with this presentation, the Israeli foreign minister, the EU foreign ministers, even they were so perplexed by this. They called him, I think it was Borrell, right? Joseph Borrell. He said that the Israeli foreign minister was, didn't take the talk seriously. That the videos he was showing were irrelevant. I mean, that's just funny, honestly. I mean, even the EU are like, what the hell is this? But don't worry. I'm sure when the time comes, they will become partners. Because remember, the gas is meant for the Europeans. We are in a situation, and again, I put all this together in my video, and so everyone can understand it, which is that Iran is still sanctioned, right? Trump left the nuclear deal and Biden stayed out of the nuclear deal. So Iran is still sanctioned. Iran, number 2 country in the world in terms of gas reserves. So no Iranian gas or oil. Russia, they blew up the Nord Stream pipelines that connected Russia to Europe, and they also sanctioned Russia. So no Iranian gas or oil, no Russian gas or oil. You know, who's got gas and oil left that can reach Europe? The Arabs, the Middle East. And so the Israelis are now taking this by force because they signed a gas deal with the EU and with Ursula. You remember this was during the Ukraine war. And she said that they're gas partners now. Well, it's time to deliver, isn't it? And so the Israelis are desperate, and they need to deliver on their gas promises. This is one aspect of why they're doing this. The trade route is another. And this benefits all the parties concerned. This is why the Americans and the Europeans are allowing this genocide to happen. Yes, they have committed genocides themselves. They have no morals, but the governments at least, right? So it's not like it's out of character, but they have a deep economic incentive in this project, in making sure that Gaza is destroyed, right? It's disgusting. It's truly disgusting. I mean, there's no amount of money in the world that justifies this kind of crap. There just isn't. But you have to understand why they're doing this aid pier. So once again, I recommend you go watch this part 1 and part 2 that I made. It's sort of a mini documentary, right? Because then I also went into other aspects of it, and I'll paste the links below for you to go watch them afterwards.
Don't forget, the Israelis also want to build a rival to the Suez Canal called the Ben Gurion Canal. This is a plan that they hatched together with the Americans back in the 1960s, and we only found out later in the 1990s through classified documents. I talked about this in part 2, which again you should go watch. So again, it's just really nasty, what they're doing. They think nobody's going to notice. And another thing with this aid, let me just point out, is that when we're talking about aid to Palestinians, they've been dropping these crates, right? They've been dropping like food crates, boxes that are filled with life-saving medication or whatever garbage they claim is in there. It's actually turning out to be expired food a lot of the time. Really just nasty business. But the point is, they've been dropping these crates in Gaza and killing people. You got people who are in Gaza, and then suddenly a box of aid falls on them and kills them. I'm not joking. Either that, or the Israelis take it upon themselves, out of their grand benevolence, to go and bomb the crates of supplies. Take a look at this video. Right? So 2 videos taken at the same location today. The first shows Egyptian and Belgian planes dropping humanitarian aid. The second shows Israel's army targeting hungry civilians who've gathered to obtain the aid. I mean, it's so disgusting, really. It's again, in case this isn't clear, people in Gaza are starving. There's aid being dropped by air. They rush to get food, and then they're killed by the Israelis. If I hadn't seen the evidence, if I hadn't seen the proof, I would think, no, this isn't possible. It's cartoonishly evil. It's like a cartoon. It's like the kind of evil you would see out of a cartoon or a movie. No, it's real. I'm telling you, it's real. And the other day there was the flour massacre. You remember I talked about this with you guys. The flour massacre.
You had the Israelis driving in aid. Again, thank you so much, Masters. You know, let's all bow down in front of them. The concentration camp guards decided to throw some crumbs. So anyway, they're driving in these trucks into Gaza. People are running to get flour, and then the Israelis open fire on them. And they published the footage themselves. The Israelis published the drone footage themselves, and they tried to doctor it. They tried to massage it, to work it so you don't see it. But it's obvious. Everyone and their uncle has seen this footage and exposed how it clearly proves that the flour massacre happened. You've got dead bodies. You know, people that are moving are suddenly dead in the next scene. It's whatever you think is happening in Gaza, it's 10 times worse in reality. I can assure you. So again, this excuse about delivering aid and it's just such a disgusting lie. It's such a disgusting lie. They could let aid into Gaza like that. And once again, I want to remind you that the Israelis, with this route that I talked about here, okay, they're bringing in food for themselves, you know. Okay, that is now working because they have no choice. So they've now been implementing this. You got trucks that are driving up food to the Israelis because the maritime routes don't work because Yemen have blocked it. Yemen have blocked the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. So the food has to come by land. So if there's food reaching the Israelis, then it can obviously reach the Palestinians, can it not? They just don't want to. And the fact that these Arab countries, Jordan, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, participate, I mean, it's disgusting. This collaboration is disgusting. So once again, you have to watch these videos. You know, these videos are never going to become, outdated because this project is so long. It's been in the works for decades. So again, I'll put links to part 1 and part 2 below. Give me a second. Just give me a moment, and I'll paste them below. They'll shock you. Honestly, these things will shock you if you haven't seen them. They will truly blow your mind. And of course, I talked about the trade routes as well, the water, and the canals, right? Because the Israelis have wanted for a long time to create a rival to the Suez Canal, and again, I discussed that at length in there. So watch these afterwards when you're free. There you go. Okay, you guys should see him now in the comments on Rumble and on YouTube. So enjoy and share them far and wide, because you'll understand what's driving this genocide in Gaza, why it's so evil, it's so, why the scale of it is so big. You really start to understand that the Israelis are like someone who's running to try and beat the clock, which again, doesn't justify anything what they're doing at all. On the contrary, it makes it all the more sinister and evil that this is just about money, and it's just about trade routes, and it's about the Americans also securing a foothold that where they can counter China. Again, all of this is explained there. I connected all of it together with China, Ukraine, and so on. So go watch them. I promise you that you'll have your eyes opened if you haven't seen them before.